Whoa. Take it off of the OnlyFans strobe light. Put it on podcast lighting, you old.
Oh my God, this is how much you don't know about it. Like, I would never, ever use this bright of a light for an OnlyFans photo. Do you know how many flaws that shows? No. I'm like, my OnlyFans photos are like darkness.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
No, you don't use like super high. No. Sean, you gotta learn before you get your OnlyFans started.
Well, yeah, I'll just do mine in the dark. Like, I'll jerk off in the dark. And
I guarantee you that somebody does that and makes money doing it.
I bet Louis C.K. wishes he'd done his shit now. When he could just do it all online, have an OnlyFans, just pay some chick $18 to watch him jerk off while she's on the computer with him.
That's a thing though. Guys like actually do. I knew some guy that always was like, "You want to watch me?" I'm like, "Mom, not really." Jesus.
Yeah, I saw that he did a piece of stand-up and kind of referred to it as like, hey guys, keep checking in with the girls because just because they said yes doesn't mean they like it. See, the disconnect there is that they weren't engaged in sexual activity. Like,
no,
that's what I think. That's kind of the part that Louis just always glosses over is with this, is that you weren't fucking her and then said, can I jerk off? Like, you were like just two people in a room and you said, can I jerk off? Like, that's a completely different thing than engaged in sexual activity and then you did this weird thing. Like, no one would care. Like, if the chicks that, or if the women that he did this to, if they were like making out and they were into it and then they tried to sell this story of like he jerks off on people, nobody would have fucking cared. They would have been like, oh, it would surprise me if Louis didn't do that. You know, like when it's a consensual, already sexual thing, but like everybody knows that if you're just two people in a room and you say like, you want to watch me jerk off, like it's bonkers to do that. It's not a kink.
No, it's a stupid man trying to like make his kink seem normal, but everything that I didn't watch that thing that he did, but everything that I've read about it and stuff, he like, this light is driving me nuts tonight.
Oh, the clip is hilarious. Like, you know, I mean, he's got some hilarious shit. Like, Louis is one of those guys where like the power of his talent is big enough that even people who hate him would have to laugh.
You know? I have seen comments from people saying like, I do not like him, but he is talent. I can't admit that.
Think about how funny you have to be to get like super woke left-wing, like people that despise you to watch your special with their arms crossed and their legs folded and a big pout on their face and still find themselves laughing because you just are that fucking good.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like he's one of the jokes he has on there is about women moaning during sex. And he's like, it doesn't mean they're really into it. He's like, it's sort of the same vibe as like a Negro spiritual, you know? They're like, oh, you know? And he's like, and if you were around during slavery and you heard them singing like that, you'd be like, oh, I'm sure they're having a good time, but not really. Like, so all of it, his shit, he's just funny. Like, he's just good. But, you know, as long as he keeps glossing over the fact that this is going to keep hurting him until he sort of fully comes clean and says, yes, I understand that this is like some predatory behavior that I was engaged in. Like, I was with coworkers and in a non-sexual setting and asked them if I could do something sexual and they were stunned and I took that as yes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of like I don't know how to explain, because people that don't understand it, like, I don't know if how many men have had like a woman not attack them, but do something overtly sexual in front of them, like that. I know it happens and stuff, but it's like, I don't think a lot of men understand that whole, like, having something just thrown into your face and then just having to be like, I don't know what to do. Like, I've had so many uncomfortable things happen to me. Even when I was like 15 years old, I was on the Paris subway when I was on my Europe trip. And actually I was younger than that because it was grade 9. And we were in this like super, super tight subway. And like all these people were pushed up against everybody, and this like creepy little French man grabbed my vagina. I know, and I know, like,
why do
and
I
I
like
was
why
just
do I
like,
like that? I shouldn't like that. Why am I laughing at that?
you shouldn't laugh at, because it's
You were
uncomfortable.
15.
Because
That's
it's
horrible.
uncomfortable. Because
Yeah.
that's what women do when men make us feel uncomfortable, or we used to before we felt like we were empowered enough
Well,
to say fuck off. We all just laugh it off. Just be like, ah. It's the same
well,
as riding in a car with Lawrence Morgenstern, having him tell me he's gonna smack my ass so hard. I just was like, ha ha ha. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
that's the thing.
Well, and it sort of ignores like the trick. Like the reason that Louis is playing bullshit here is because he's fucking extremely smart. So he knows that if you just because you've said yes to something, like we're all conditioned to say yes to everything. Like
Yeah.
even when it's a firm no, you start with a yes. Like if somebody said, "Hey, you mind getting all these Jews out of the oven?" Like you're gonna be like, you'll say yeah, and then you'll go, but how the fuck do I get out? So those women were in a situation where it's like, "Hey, do you mind if I jerk off?" And they're just like, yeah, and like and then he's like, "Okay, well that's consent." Like,
Yeah.
what am I, a fucking dog? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a human being. Like you heard that, everybody? That's consent. Like, no, it's not. That's not consent. It's somebody being like, I don't know what else to say. Like,
Yeah.
no
And
is
also you have to bring in the whole, like, the way comedy used to be. We've talked about this before, that honestly he was in a power position that if he could make those girls never work again, regardless of if they were really really funny or not really funny, but like, uh it's just the way, like, you had to just go with everything that the higher level ranking comics said and
yeah.
did,
Well,
or
and
you'd never work.
see, that's the thing too, is it doesn't matter if they were funny or not in this context, because it's almost more predatory if they're not funny, right? Because
Yeah.
then you're a guy who's like, I'm not going to fuck with chicks who are good because they're going to stay in the business, but there's a bunch of women who have no future, they really suck, and for now I can take advantage of them.
Yeah.
you know
And I've seen that happen in comedy, like, everywhere.
yeah. It's like, yeah, you
I
don't do anything with the funny chicks because I'll stay in the game and tell on you later.
Yeah, yeah. It's true though. It is
Yeah.
true. It is true. I had like one creepy male comic once say to me, "Oh, I don't fuck the funny ones," which I always thought was odd. And then, but now that you say that, I understand why that fucking loser said that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that's just a dumb thing to say, but it's sort of like, it's I guess it still implies consent, right? Like, but it's still a dumb thing to say, like, but
Yeah, it doesn't.
it's funny too, because the last time we talked, it was like when the Capitol siege was happening, and all we had was all we had was these like funny pictures, right? It was just like funny pictures, and we always forget that, like, throughout history, whenever something horrible was about to happen to people, it didn't look like it did in the movies.
No.
It looked just like that. It looked
Yeah.
like a bunch of dummies wandering around lost, and then suddenly Nancy Pelosi doesn't have a head.
Yeah.
That's how it fucking happens. It's not like a movie where everybody's looks cool and they're all tanned up and beefed up and ready to go. Like, these guys are wandering like tourists, but they would have fucking, like, there was one funny thing, and it shows like how racist some people in the Republican Party are, like, just as a baseline for sort of how they're afraid of brown people but not white people. There, Susan Collins, who's a senator from Maine, she wrote an article after saying when it happened, she was in the Senate chambers and Mike Pence was like removed really quickly by Secret Service, and her initial thought was it's probably Iran. And it's like, are you fucking, how
And she wrote that out?
she wrote it in the paper, like, how fucking, there's 10,000 white Trump supporters outside, that, and Mike
Yeah.
being moved to a secure location, and you think it's because Iran is here? Like, it just shows you that disconnect of like, white people can't be a threat, but brown people always are.
I think this is the best thing to happen to America, because it's finally like, no, white people are a fucking problem. White people that think that they're better than everybody else are a fucking problem. It's clear that you guys did like have no security for this because they're white. It's clear that you had police letting people in. Like these people, the guy that beat that cop to death with an American flag, like I cannot think of anything more appropriate for that group of people. They're the biggest hypocrites. They complain so much about everything that other people do, and then they go and do the exact same thing, but 10 times worse. Like if a black person killed a cop at a Black Lives Matter, holy shit.
Well,
it would have been.
And think about the fact that, like, these guys run around talking about drain the swamp. They're the fucking
They're the swamp.
You're
They're the swamp, and the millionaires are the swamp.
You're the fucking swamp.
Yeah.
People who run around. I mean, it's dangerous to have 10 million people in any country that think that 50% of the population is in cahoots with child molesters and people who. And here's the thing that fucking drives me crazy. On the one hand, conspiracy theorists say it's about population control. They want to get the population down. They want to own everything. Bill Gates is trying to kill people. And then on the other hand, they drink the blood of children. And well, which is it?
Yeah.
Like, is it depopulation or is it more kids for us to eat and fuck? Like, what are you talking about? It can't be both. Like,
these people
are so fucking stupid.
They are so stupid, and I have no problem saying that. Like people are like, oh, it'll be me, but like, no, let's call it what it is. They are stupid. Like I spent all week watching like interviews with people at like they'll like regular people will go and interview these people and pretend that they're on their side, and they're so stupid. Like there's one guy that does it for the Daily Show, and I can't remember his name, but he is so good at it. But there was this one where this woman was dressed in this costume where it was like Trump was carrying her in a trash can. And the guy was exactly, and the guy's like, yeah, so Trump is taking out the trash. He's like, yeah, Trump is taking out the trash, and he's like, and you're in the trash can. She's like, yeah, like they don't get it. They don't have these skills to think for themselves. They just listen, and they call people sheep all the time. But I'm like, you guys are the biggest sheep out there. You're following what some fucking ridiculous like
if you're gonna talk about like all the fake news, like if you're gonna say everything, okay, well, it's fake news, and then somebody says, well, give me a list of fake news, and then you have to fucking list off almost everything.
Yeah.
Then does that not cause you any reflection on yourself? You have to take 95% of the information that's being put into the world and say it's all bullshit. Really?
Yeah.
How likely is that? What's the fucking probability that you have to throw out 95% of all journalism in order to get to the place that believes what you believe? And
but
I know
these are people that don't even know what the word probability means, Sean.
Well, the thing that was scaring me the most during the siege was I was just thinking about Mike Pence being moved to like a secure room, and he thinks he's by himself, and there's thousands of people yelling, "Hang Mike Pence" outside, and then he turns around and realizes that he's in a room with another woman who isn't his wife, and he has to leave the room and be hung by all these fucking "Make America Dead Again" assholes.
You're not mother. I'm gonna have to go out there.
Yeah, no, I didn't know anybody else was in here. I gotta go, and then he fucking leaves and gets hung on the streets.
It's also like all.
And
of
then
this is
apparently his wife was very jealous because she thought everybody was yelling "Bang Mike Pence." That's what I heard.
It also, all of this is like just reinforced my belief that religion is the worst thing, that it's being used so badly. Like if Jesus was actually going to come back today, there's no way he'd be like, way to go, you fucking hick from like South Carolina. Thank you for following me and my dad. Like it's ridiculous.
It's funny though that we can't, like, we talk about Jesus coming back, but this shows you what kids' gloves we have to talk about Islam with. We can't even be like, imagine if Muhammad came back. Like, imagine if the Prophet Muhammad came back. What would he say now with all this fucking bullshit? We don't even say that.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's true.
It's like, oh, I guess we can't even speak of the Prophet Muhammad coming back, but we'll just torch old Jesus. Think about how many times old Jesus has been slung through the mud. Like, Jesus wouldn't like this. Jesus wouldn't be, if Jesus could see this, like fucking shut up. If my mom, if anybody could see me doing this, they'd be like, if my mom was here, it doesn't have to be Jesus.
I got way too much joy watching these people get like arrested at airports, and like on TikTok there was this whole thing where people would just find out their names and immediately dox. Like they were doxing the shit out of these people, and I don't fully believe in doxing. I think it can be very dangerous, but like but it was actually quite when they had like a photographic proof, like that was the thing. They did one thing that was bad. There was like one guy that they doxed and they shouldn't have, and they got him fired. And then he was like, I was helping, I was trying to get these people to stop. So then all these people apologized and stuff. Like it was.
There was also my favorite one was there was a gold medalist. There was like,
oh my god, I love it.
Gold, but they didn't even say what did anybody. Jim, did you catch what sport it was?
He's a swimmer.
Swimming.
Yeah.
Was it swimming?
Yeah,
yes.
He was on
Look at what is wrong with the American swimming team?
Phelps and whatever.
Oh, of course. Of course it's a fucking second leg relay loser.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why he's so mad. Like he was just
he wore his Olympic jacket.
What the fuck? This is another thing. Why are they so stupid? Taking selfies, holding stolen property, broken property, and posing with it. Like, what the fuck, people? Well, and then they were like, Antifa. It was Antifa. I'm like, Antifa isn't this dumb. Antifa puts masks on. Antifa doesn't let people see who they are. You people
like, I don't think that I don't think that if it was like a Black Lives Matter rally that the cops would have just been shooting black people. Like I don't believe that, but I do believe that if Trump had won the election, right, and then there was a giant Black Lives Matter rally at the Capitol on January 6th, there's no fucking way that they just have regular security. Like they didn't even.
They didn't. Did you not see those pictures of when there was a Black Lives rally there?
No, I know, but
and they had.
What they're trying to say is because that happened, because there was such a backlash against the military force that was there for the Black Lives Matter rally, they didn't want to have that same.
Oh, that's such bullshit.
Rally, but
that's such bullshit.
Like I said at the very start about Susan Collins, it's this idea that like black people rage is very scary, and white people rage is funny. Look at him, what a silly hick. It's like, dude, that guy with the cross eyes, he can still slit Nancy Pelosi's throat. He can still fucking press a button and make a bomb explode. Like that 5G loser, right? I mean, so these guys, it's I don't think that anything's gonna happen, but who the fuck knows? Like I've been wrong about Trump for the last 5 years. I've been wrong about Trump every step of the way. Whenever somebody's like, is he gonna do anything crazier? I was like, no, like I think, honestly, this is about it. This is as low as he can go. And then something
he goes lower. Yeah.
And there were still people that voted afterwards to block. Like, what's the political calculus of being like, well, maybe one day I'll be president, so I want to be on the side of Trump. Like, how could you be president if you voted against these votes being counted and you are a presidential candidate and 60% of the country despised you? You'd have no chance. Like you can't get elected that way. I don't know.
Well, and even with the impeachment, how only 10 Republicans voted, and they were saying, well, it's because most of the Republicans are scared for their lives. And I had a small breakdown this week. I had about 28 panic attacks because it's just been like too much, and I've been by myself. And it's just been a bad time. And I've been very depressed, but not like I'm going to kill myself. I'm just so tired of all of this.
I just want to make a quick point. I think women undervalue how much value is in having a man not listen to them and then them being able to be like, you never fucking listen. Like that ability to do that venting that women get to do on a regular basis is very good for their mental health.
It is good.
And
I've been doing it to my poor dogs, and they're
we don't need to listen to you. We need to be there when you fucking, I said, no, I didn't say that, and then if Adam's not there, you freak out. You have nobody to lash out at.
I will say that every time we've talked, because we talk every night, there's been a couple nights where I just go on and on and on and on and on about what's going on in the world, and then he just sits there and listens, and then we're good. but
He's a good guy, you know.
ah, shit, I don't even remember where I was like saying about this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I made you lose your story. What were you talking about?
Why I was sad, but like.
Oh yeah, that's right. You had 28 panic attacks because of things that were going on in the world.
Yeah, it was just like this past week was just too much, too stressful, and I don't know where I was going with this.
I blew it. I fucking blew it for you.
It's
You
okay.
probably-
It'll come back eventually.
You probably had a great story, and then I just thought I would make a quick point, but I shouldn't have done that. Very rude of me.
It's okay. I just don't. I just get annoyed when I can't remember stuff because that makes me. I've also realized this week watching everything that I'm super fucking old because I've gone on TikTok way too much, and it is not an old person's app. No matter what the old people say, it's not for us. Because as soon as I start seeing kids being like, here's my retro outfit for today. I'm dressed like I'm in 1998. And I'm just like, I want to murder that fucking kid. Retro outfit. But it's a retro outfit.
That's why nobody leaves Facebook, right? How long have people been saying, like, Facebook, fuck, it's dead. But the reason Facebook doesn't die is because there's a bunch of people in our age bracket or older who don't want to feel old. So they're not going to go to Instagram or TikTok or any of this other bullshit like Snapchat or whatever. Like, they're not doing it because they don't want to feel ancient. Like, Facebook is great because we can still feel young. We can still see like an old woman chiming in on a political podcast. Like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. What button? Hello. Oh, this wasn't supposed to be a post. It was supposed to be a comment. Oh, you know, we can still look at old people doing old shit on Facebook and laugh, but we don't want to be the old person who doesn't know the button to press.
No, we don't. But like, even like, so I was looking at some teenage girls TikTok, and then I'm like, should I be looking at this? Like, is this like, not that I was like looking in a predatory manner, but I'm like, I literally can see what teenage life is like right now. Like, I don't think we've ever been able to see it. And some of the stuff these kids are posting, I'm like, don't their parents see this shit? Like, I was reading through this one girl's entire TikTok because I was really high last night and I got a little like on it. And I was just like, it's like watching a movie, going through all of her stories and seeing what her life was like in this past year and how she's like gone up and down and like just being a teenage girl. And I'm like, I don't think if I was a teenager, I would want everybody to see exactly all my ups and downs, but like that they're all on there doing it.
And parents,
it's just this weird thing that you can go and you can watch it a teenager's entire life.
The only reason parents know anything about what's happening in teen life is a report card, right? Like, how's
social media.
How's it? Yeah, well, no, I mean, even on social media, if we got, as a parent, if you got like a social media report card from Mark Zuckerberg for your kid, and it was like, you were looking at it like, you got 83% in ass fucking. I didn't know you were taking ass fucking. But that's the only way that we'd know, right? Like, we would have no fucking idea what's going on. I don't know what's going on in school with my kid until I get a report card or until, and then we can talk. But social media, no, like it's all, you know, password protected. They're on apps where they're deleting stuff, taking screenshots, deleting, you know, like, so any sensitive material they're looking at, they're just smart enough to be like, oh, you got to delete it and, you know, be careful. And, you know, that's it. They don't. So yeah, they have a whole other life online.
Yeah.
And without a report card that parents can open and see, we don't have a fucking clue what's going on. The only thing you could do is say you don't have a phone. And now you've got like the worst person in the world to be around, a teenager without a phone.
Yeah.
Is, you know,
right now.
What's that?
Trump right now.
Trump right now.
Throwing a temper tantrum.
No Twitter.
No Twitter.
Facebook,
yeah.
No YouTube.
Right. That's
my other
exactly
thing
right.
about Trumpies. It's really funny.
grounded.
It's really
Trump
funny
is
about the whole
grounded.
Twitter thing.
Trump's
Because they're
a
all
partner.
talking, they all love like capitalism and all this stuff. So this company, Twitter, it's a company, decided to make a decision for its company. And you're like, no, it's free speech. It's like, no. They're a company. This is capitalism. They can do whatever the fuck they want with their company.
And that's what people forget is we were all born communists. Like when we were little kids, we were all communists. Like when I was in grade 5, if somebody said to me like, hey, there's a surgeon, a nurse, an engineer, a janitor, and a school bus driver, who do you think makes the most? I'd be like, well, probably I don't know, they probably all make the same.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
and if somebody told me like, actually school bus drivers and janitors make a fraction of what those other professions make, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like they have all the keys. How the fuck do they make the least? They got all the fucking keys.
They have all the keys.
You know?
Yeah, when you're a kid, the person with the most keys is the most powerful person.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we're all little communists, and then we grow up and decide like, oh yeah, some people should be fucking trash. Some people should never go to Hawaii ever. You know?
I do have a vivid memory of asking my mom when I was a kid what communism was. I don't know, like, if I must have seen it on TV or something like that. And I remember my mom saying, well, it's just basically, you know, everybody goes to work and comes home. We all live in the same kind of house. We all are on the same level. And that's how she explained it to me. And I remember thinking, like, communism doesn't sound awful. Like, I still have this, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Like to see, here's what I would like to see in the world. Communism in a country run just women. You know?
You don't want to see anything run by just women. And this is coming from a woman.
That's what I want to fucking see. Then we get
Sean, you don't want this because I have been in a room where a group of women have tried to play a board game without instructions. It was chaos. It was fucking chaos.
In the board game, there had to be a winner and a loser, but in communism, everybody fucking ties. Right? So women could get together and make sure everything was equal and everybody got enough egos, and like women are good at that, like making sure, you know, like who did he get too much bacon? No, he only got 3 strips. Put some of the bacon on Frank's plate.
That is a good point. I think that women should be in charge of. I think women should be at the top, but there should be men out there to do our bidding.
I just feel like there's no girl Stalin out there. You know, there's no girl, right? There's no girl Pol Pot. There's no girl...
I don't know. Have you seen some of those female representatives, like Republican women, like that one, the new Sarah Palin, the one that brought her gun into the place?
Yeah, she's a QAnon lady. Yeah, she's one of the only sort of, I think she might be the only person in Congress that doesn't disavow QAnon. Like some of them will do little, you know, meets with white nationalist people and then pretend they're not aligned with them. But this is the only chick that's like, yeah, I'm kind of on board. Sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds great.
I did my research and turns out these crazy people are right.
What about the guy? This is the best too. The guy with the buffalo head. He was on a hunger strike because they wouldn't give him organic food, and it hurts his tummy.
Because he's a shaman or whatever. A
shaman? Yeah, he's a shaman. Okay.
I'm surprised he doesn't. I'm surprised he's like, I only eat white food. It has to all be white. I will not.
Be my skin tone.
Yeah, paint it if you have to, but I only eat white stuff.
That's another example of white, out of control white privilege. Do you think if a black man was like, I'm not eating, you're not feeding me organic, do you think they'd be like, okay, sure, let's get him some organic food? No, but they got him organic food. It's fucking ridiculous. Let him starve to death. I don't give a fuck about any of those people. All of those people that got arrested, oh my God. But watching them get arrested and watching them cry at airports, like, that was almost like, that was my porn last week. Like it was my porn watching these white women cry because they're like, well, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong as I broke things at my nation's capital. Like,
well, and it's weird. Like I think somebody on CNN made a point of like, why is it that we, like when a black person dies, we get to see it. And when a white person dies, we're like, that's a little much for our audience.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that white chick, the way that white chick died was kind of funny.
It was hilarious because I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck about her either. She was climbing. The cop said, I'm going to shoot. He's like, I'm gonna shoot if you climb. And she kept climbing and went flying back in a cartoon-like way. And then everybody, instead of helping her, filmed it.
Yeah.
Like all those people were standing around filming it.
Man,
like,
man.
It's just like it's insane. Like I would just like it to be summer. I'm ready for it to be summer because I just want these next few months to be over. I want 6 months to go by real fast.
Yeah, you want to be older, right? You want to be
I really want to be
closer to death.
I'm so mad too because I'm turning 40 in April, and my whole thing was like, I'm gonna be in Mexico on my 40th birthday. It's gonna be so special, and I'm probably gonna be alone in my house.
Yeah, but really the critical thing there is, could you afford to have been in Mexico? Because if you could have, then your life is still okay.
My life is okay, but I'm also annoyed, which is such a stupid thing to be annoyed about, but whatever.
No, yeah, it sort of hits you, you know, like I'll be doing fine. Like, because for me, I don't love doing comedy. So the break from that has been good. Like I've really actually really enjoyed kind of not having that. But the problem is, like for me, I'm either going to have small, like normally I don't sit around thinking like, holy fuck, I'm going to die. I'm going to be dead soon. Like, because I'm too worried about having to go to fucking Lloydminster to do a bar gig on Saturday. So I'm usually locked into anxiety about what's happening in my immediate world. And then when you take that away from me, all of a sudden now I'm just dreading like bigger picture stuff of like, instead, like, how am I going to retire? I'll never retire.
That's like, I'm not afraid of dying. That's not what my stress and anxiety and depression is coming from. My stress and anxiety and depression is coming from it. I don't see an end to this. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, even with the vaccine, because all I keep hearing now is like, and then once you're vaccinated, you still have to wear a mask and you still have to do until we're all vaccinated. And that's not going to happen because we have crazy people out there that aren't going to get vaccinated. Like I watched World War Z to relax. And to escape. I watched that the other day to relax and escape. And you know what? They handled that pandemic way better than we are doing it. As soon as they had the vaccine, as soon as Brad Pitt figured out we just had to get injected with meningitis, they were dropping vaccines from the sky. And then little children were picking them up and handing them to them.
Yeah. As it turns out, that was a bit of a flaw in the plot, right? They thought that like you'll just have like, we'll just have it. And that's the thing that pisses me off too, is like, it just shows you the world we live in where we talk about Operation Warp Speed. And, you know, we want to give credit to the politicians who've rolled this out. Why the fuck aren't the scientists who made this celebrities?
Yes.
How the fuck do we not know the names of the human beings who made this vaccine?
Because science isn't cool.
Yeah, it's because we don't give a shit, clearly. What's that? Because they're not hot?
Yeah, they're not hot.
Yeah,
they might be hot. We don't know. We've never seen pictures of them.
That's true.
And it might not, you know, like it was either like a bunch of Chinese women and conservatives are like, fuck that. Or it was like a bunch of white straight males and the left is like, no, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's stop celebrating straight white men.
for a couple of weeks.
Let's stop it.
Give it a breather. I just don't know what those people thought was going to happen. Like, let's say you take some fucking senator from Ohio hostage. Okay, now what? Like, now you're what now? Okay, well, sorry, everybody. Trump's show. Sorry, Joe. Sorry, transition team. You guys can head back home. He's got Becky.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we're just going to have to continue to be governed by Donald Trump and his team because he's got her and we can't get in the basement. It's locked. We tried, you know.
Oh, I thought about what I forgot.
Okay, good.
So I was watching a lot of documentaries about Hitler because it's the exact same thing. He's trying to pull a Hitler. He literally, textbook is trying to do it. And there is part of it like where it shows like I didn't know a lot about Hitler. I've never looked into it that much.
I mean, Trump talks a lot about showers.
He does.
Trump, he's a lot of shower talk. So he could
But then
Right.
But then, like, there was one of the ways that Hitler came to power was he went and he executed all of the people that were against him. So I can see that people and the FBI is saying there's been a lot of threats. There's been a lot of like threats that are coming from people that are unstable enough to make this happen. So like I just don't think that Trump and his followers are intelligent enough to pull it off. And that's their main problem. If they were smarter people, like Hitler was not an idiot, but Trump is an idiot.
Yeah, I don't know if I have no idea. I mean, I just think Trump is he's just a bizarre. There's no way that they're going to get anything, like there's no win for them other than
and all of his kids and his family is now stuck with the Trump name, which is not a name to be proud of right now. And like this is what I want to happen. I want his son Barron to come out and be like, I'm emancipating myself from this family. I'm running for the Democrat Party. Like, fuck my family. Like, I just want Barron to come out because that's the thing is like, you just hope one of them is not a psychopath. And everybody talks about, oh, poor Melania. Oh, blink if you're in a lot of trouble. Fuck that. She is a horrible person.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you heard her tapes? She's she's a gold digging, awful person.
Even her take on the Capitol siege.
Oh my God, I know.
Was partially about how she's been treated unfairly.
I'm being bullied. Fuck off.
Shut the fuck up. But we're talking about teenagers. Imagine being teenage Baron von Trump.
I know.
Well, the fucking Baron von Trump show. Everywhere you go, like, you're Trump's kid. Like, imagine.
This is why I'm saying he needs to emancipate himself from that family.
It's too late. He's already Baron von Trump.
That's true.
He's the little guy, he's probably going to be better than Eric. And he's just wandering around as a teenager. Like, what is he has to be homeschooled. He couldn't go to imagine him in some school in DC.
Oh God.
With a bunch of like Congress people's kids and all these DC, like he couldn't go. There's no way that he could function even in that scenario where it's all other dignitaries and government employees' children. Like they'd be like, that's Trump's kid. Like, what the fuck? And he's just like, hey man, I'm just a kid.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm just a kid. And like, I just wonder how he is going to turn out, if he is going to grow up and be like, fuck this family.
You think my dad listens to me?
Yeah.
You think little Baron's going to go into the Oval Office and be like, Dad, tell everybody to go home.
Yeah. Well, I read an article that they were like that all of these people, they were calling Ivanka, they were calling all of these people being like, talk to him, because he wasn't saying anything. He was just watching it unfold on television and enjoying it. And so they had like all these people like trying to call and be like, can somebody please talk to him and tell him to tweet out to stop? Like, it's just like, he doesn't listen to anybody. And like, I don't understand how anybody can still stand by him.
He's had for a narcissist, he's had the coolest life. Like any narcissist would say, well, I guess my ideal world would be like having the eyes of the world on me. And then in the morning I go out and I do some shit. And then in the afternoon I go home and I watch television news coverage about the shit I did in the morning.
Yeah.
Like that's every narcissist's dream.
Yeah.
And then I put out one tweet and it blows up the entire internet.
Yeah. I get to sit there and watch it scroll like crazy, like just instantaneous scrolling on everything. Like,
good point.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, him seeing all these people storm the Capitol makes him feel even more powerful.
This is good. Like for him,
I heard that he was upset that the crowd looked too low class for him.
Yeah, I heard that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah,
they looked like the dirtiest trash in America. Everybody that was there looked like two people died of heart attacks in the thing because they're all fucking gross. I shouldn't say it that way, but
like if the guy wants like 5 guys to light AOC on fire, but they have to be in tuxedos, they have to be like holding fucking silver trays with gasoline on them. Like, what kind of classy? There's been no classy revolution ever. And guess what, asshole? It's your merch. They're wearing the clothes you fucking sold. How do they look low class in the shit you fucking sold on your website to them? Like, my God, what a
It's
fucking train wreck.
it is infuriating, and it is like, and everyone's like, oh, what do Canadians think about this? And then Canadians are like, well, we're better. I'm like, no, we're not. We had a Trump rally in Calgary. There are people in our fucking province that are this dumb.
Yeah, because it's what I mean. It's, you know, it's not. It's white grievance, right? It's like white grievance. It's white people that are like, I'm tired of this shit. Like, we seem to be getting the short end. Things used to be real good for my grandpap, and in some ways, like, if you're a white straight male, I can see white grievance being attractive to you, because in some ways you kind of feel like your dad killed somebody and everybody's yelling at you about the victim's family's yelling at you, and you're like, I didn't fucking do that. That somebody else did that. So, like, you know, the average white straight male who's not college educated would see it as very attractive, the idea of white grievance, because they're used to, like, hey everybody, I'm broke, and people are like, shut the fuck up, you white piece of shit. And so most of those guys, like, if you look at the guys who were in like that shaman guy, like,
Yeah.
they're laborers, right? Most of them are laborers for masonry companies and part-time school bus drivers, right? These guys are just, you know, that's who they are, is just, they're broke.
Well, and they're mad that they didn't get ahead because they didn't go to school, but they didn't go to school because they couldn't afford to go to school, which is something that elitists have done.
Right. But they see themselves getting thrown into the pile of, like, well, you're in elite status because you're a white straight male. You need to be brought down too. And they're like, I live in a fucking garage. And so then when there's a Trump rally in Red Deer, those are the people that come out. The phony white grieved male who is tired of being kicked around or whatever, even though, and that's just the way it is. Like, when things are changing, you know, like, things are becoming more diverse. The world is moving away from, like, having, you know, you see it everywhere. You see it in movies, you see it in TV, you see it in, like, the corporate world. Everybody's very careful to have, like, let's have some diversity. So, but the first generation of white guys is always going to be like, hey, let's fucking keep it.
Yeah.
You know, why the fuck are we? And, you know,
I waited so long to get to this point of everything being amazing for me, and now it's getting fucked up.
And 100 years from now, I think things will be diverse enough and we'll just be used to that. Yeah. And there won't be as much white grievance. But the first generation of it, you're always going to have, you know, whatever, 50 million white guys around the planet that are like, fuck this. We're keeping it. Get out of our country. It's like, where are we going to go? We're from here too, you know?
Yeah.
They just don't, you know. So those are the people that are coming out, and they'll always be coming out. And for them, Trump is he's the last ticket out of town, because, like, Trump, if you look at Donald Trump, he basically, I saw a documentary about Alex Jones, and Alex Jones would say something on Monday, and then on Wednesday, Donald Trump would do a press conference and use 2 or 3 things that Alex Jones said. Like, so Donald Trump was the conspiracy theorist president. Yeah. And these conspiracy theorists and these white grieved people are never going to have another guy like Trump in power. It's going to be back to, like, fucking Mitt Romney and, like, just fucking Christian robots that say all the right things. Like, no, but they're not going to get another guy like Trump who's like, this is bullshit. Close the borders. Get the Muslims out of here. Some of them are rapists or something, you know, like, they're never going to have that chance again. And so that's why they're holding on so tight right now, because this is it.
Yeah. They've lost their chance. They've lost it. They're on the losing team.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. I think it's fun watching middle-aged white men get real upset.
And there's some white ladies in there too. Like, lot of,
that's another thing. I don't know. What are these women doing?
Well, like, some of them, I guess, would be the same thing, white grievance, right? But then the other part of it is they're, you know, looking for an identity. Like, a lot of them, and not just the women, but the guys, like, you know, you kind of feel like you're a part of a community.
Yeah.
Like, when you choose to start believing in this stuff and the algorithms drive you to that worldview, like, as soon as you're like, hey, yeah, like I've said it on podcasts before, where like you click on something and it's like, do you hate child rape? And then you're like, of course I hate it. And then you click a button and you're in a group, and then it starts to feed you to all the other groups. Within a year, you're going to have totally changed. Like your personality is going to completely have changed. And if you're not smart enough, if you're not educated enough to have a base of information that you can use in your reserves to refute what you're seeing on a screen, you'll just read it and then it'll just, wow, I didn't know that. And it's like, well, you still don't know it because it never fucking happened. It's just some idiot wrote a lie on the internet, but you're too fucking dumb to do anything but read it and go, oh, wow.
Can you believe it?
Hillary Clinton has murdered 100 babies. Huh. I never thought of it like that. Like, and then before you know it, you're getting fucking shot because you're, you know, like this poor woman, you know, like that chick that got killed, like probably 2 years ago, her friends would have been like, yeah, she was okay until Claire died, you know, like some big traumatic event that happened. And then, you know, and then found this.
Yeah.
This community of idiots and liars.
That woman was awful. Like if you looked at her videos that she had screaming, ranting videos where she would say just disgusting things. So I don't know. It's not nice to say, but I don't think it was a great loss for the human race. Like, to be honest with you, I know that's awful and mean, but fuck.
I feel bad for all of them, right? Because they didn't, you know, they weren't born, they didn't come out of a pussy talking QAnon nonsense. Like they were just a normal person who all of a sudden just started reading this shit, and they just didn't have the faculties intellectually to know that this is misinformation. And so they just continued down the rabbit hole until, you know, nobody could touch them, nobody could reach them, right? Like if you look at most of these people, they say like, oh yeah, like, you know, their interactions with family and friends are fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, where like they lose friends and then their family's like, okay, well, I know Jerry's not going to wear a mask because he thinks Hillary Clinton gobbles baby brains. He believes that Hillary and Bill like to dine on baby brain every Friday evening. Sometimes 2 baby brains if they're peckish. Really depends on the baby. Some of them have bigger brains than others. The Clintons munch on baby brains and Jerry believes it. And so he won't be coming for Thanksgiving.
I saw like a lot of things like families breaking up. There was a girl who turned in her family because they kicked her out of the home for being a lesbian. And then she saw her mom get punched in the face at this thing because they were like attacking a black security guard. And then she was like, oh, that's my mom. Here's her name, and that's my aunt and uncle, and there's their name, and fuck them. And I think that this is literally ripping families apart because it is cult-like behavior, and that's what cults do, is that they try to get you away from people that don't believe the same thing as you, and then you're just gone, and there's no saving you.
No, because they're spending their time trying to save everybody else. Right?
Yes.
Like their worldview has changed to the point where they're like, oh my God, why can't I convince my mom and dad that Hillary Clinton eats children? They won't fucking listen. And I'm just trying to save their lives.
It has been fun watching like all their contradictions come alive because they're like, oh, we're the law and order people. We are like, we don't go and loot and do and have these violent protests. And then like literally that's exactly what they do. That is exactly what they do.
Well, and they're also trying to draw a parallel between like, well, when the Black Lives Matter people had their big protests and things were on fire, you guys didn't care, and now they do it at the Capitol and it's a big deal. And it's like, because if you reverse the scenario and it was Trump people having riots in towns and like lighting shit on fire because like a black person was mayor, or whatever their grievance of the moment was, you know, they would have been like, oh, this is terrible. And we would have been like, this is terrible. And then if a bunch of black people stormed the Capitol, like the Republican Party would have lost their fucking mind.
Oh yeah.
And they wouldn't be talking about it a week later as like, well, yeah, I mean, it was.
Let's just move on from this. What do they keep saying? Let's just unity or something.
If 5,000, Yeah, it's
Pardon,
time.
what?
Let's bring
time
the
for-
country together.
Oh yeah,
Let's bring the white people in this country together.
yeah.
Let's
Time
have
for
some
healing.
unity. Let's have some unity, but build a wall around unity to keep brown people out. Let's have a town called White Unity in the center of America, where and that's where we're heading. Is like we're just like, if I was an American president, I'd be like, let's pick a state and give it to them like Israel. Why don't we do that? Why don't we just fucking tell everybody in Michigan to leave? And then we'll
Yeah.
get all the fucking Trump QAnon people. They can just take over and run Michigan as their own little fucking world.
Yeah, and they can have a little project.
And they'll build a giant stupid fence around it, and they can just live there. You know, like that's what I would do. Just give them
That's
one.
what needs to happen.
Give them anything. Give them Puerto Rico. Give them fucking Alaska.
That would be a very interesting experiment, because I guarantee you within 6 months there would be a war within each other. Like they'd find something to disagree with in there. Like a black person would move in who supports Trump, and they'd be like, "Oh, but you're black." You know, like they would do something like that.
Oh yeah, they would be like, well, we're building some new settlements, and
Yeah.
hey, they're expanding. Like, don't worry about those fucking lunatics. I don't know what they would call their new state or their new
Country.
You know, I guess it would just be Trumpistan, or it would be
Trumpistan.
It would have to be something Trumpy. And then what happens when he dies? Is it going to be like Kim Jong-un, where there's like all these portraits of Trump, like dead Trump, all over America, like statues of like, oh, that was Donald Trump. They're not even going to fucking name a library after this guy.
No, they're going to do everything in their power to erase this man from American history, because it is so disgusting what's happening right now.
Jimmy Carter was a wacko who had to spend the rest of his life building houses for homeless people in order to get the stink of his presidency off of him. And what's Donald Trump going to do? Like, he's already 74. There's no way out of this. He can't like have some, like, look at George. I mean, everybody hated George Bush, right?
And now he's getting medals and people
George
love him.
Bush, Donald Trump has made George Bush look like fucking Barack Obama.
It's true.
Like, now
it's
we
true.
look at George Bush and we're like, fuck, that guy was good. Remember when Iraq was a mistake, but I mean, I've slipped on a banana peel myself.
Yeah, like people are looking,
Time
this
to
is how
fall
bad
down.
he was, yeah.
Like,
People are looking at George Bush like he was a good president.
And he makes Barack Obama look like fucking John Kennedy, right? So like, he's just, Donald Trump has come around and made everybody look better. And in some ways, that's what Trump supporters like. They like the fact that here's somebody that knows as many English words as I do, 87. Me and this guy are tied at 87 English words that we knows about. And you don't like it when people use words you don't know. Like, it is actually off-putting when somebody says a word. As soon as you're in a conversation with somebody and they say a word that you've never heard of before and you don't know the definition of, you're like, I gotta get out. I can't talk to this fucking goof. You know, like, you just make them a fucking goof. You don't think like, maybe you should learn more, you piece of shit. You think, I got to stop talking to this guy who thinks he's smarter than me because he knows more words. So Donald Trump knows 89 words, and most of his supporters know roughly 89. And that they're very comfortable with the guy coming out and just saying like, it's brutal, it's dangerous, it's the worst, it's terrible. And they're like, I know all those words. I can get behind that. I knew every one of those fucking words, and he's my guy now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I do enjoy making fun of their stupidity, because like I don't feel bad about it at all.
But
At all.
Twitter is going to get boring, I think, probably without Trump. Like, he is a juicy piece of steak.
But I've never been on Twitter to listen to Donald Trump. What bothered me was that people were following him still. He had 80 million followers. I'm like, who is following this man on Twitter? And then people are like, oh, I just want to see what he has to say. I'm like, you don't have to follow them to see what they have to say. Like, don't give this guy fucking numbers. That's what he wants. He wants numbers. He wants to be like, look, 80 million followers. I must be a pretty great guy. I have almost as many followers as Kim Kardashian.
How many does she have?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know. I have no idea. Probably quite a few.
I always just assumed that he was like the most followed account on Twitter. That's what I always thought that.
Oh no, I think like Katy Perry is.
Really? Oh my God.
I don't know who but it is a girl.
He's a good, yeah. It's going to be his post presidency kicking his feet up with Melania is going to be interesting to watch. I don't know who the next person who comes out of this is, whether it's like Donald Trump Jr. Like, I don't think it could be Ivanka because the people who would vote for Trump again don't like women in charge.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so the white grievance male that would vote for Trump over another Republican candidate, they wouldn't be comfortable with Ivanka anyway. It would have to be like
But if she's a hot woman, that's their
yeah,
thing
but
too.
they're like, I don't want a hot chick in charge. Hot chicks in charge.
I don't know. These guys are dumb.
I did
These
this camp. I did this camp one summer, and you learn all the knots from the ugly one. Let's face it. We had to put together a raft, and the hot one, she just melted out there. She lost it. It was the two dumpy ones that built us a boat and got us back ashore.
Oh my God.
They wouldn't want it. They would want Donald Trump Jr. probably is the guy. Old Jimmy Thinbeard. Old fucking Jimmy Thinbeard.
That's not a beard. That's a goatee.
Oh, fucking got as many ideas as he does chins. Zero.
Oh my God. That's that guy I would love. I want to see him in jail so badly. So badly. I want to see him in jail. I want to see all of them in jail.
No, I want to see them just rot at Mar-a-Lago. Just kind of turn into fucking, 10-year-old prunes.
Okay. Marla.
Are you getting tweets from somebody?
No, I'm talking on this is my phone. But remember how like
you're talking to other people. What are you doing your other fucking podcast? I'd like to see you try that, dude.
Do a dual podcast?
Hey guys, I have to do these both, but I only have an hour free this week.
Yeah.
So I'll just have 2 cameras set up and we'll do this for both.
No, I remember how we were talking about we wanted to do like a regular thing.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't know. But then I showed you I have all these books. Can you see that? Oh, is it backwards?
Facts of Life and Love. Yeah, I thought you could give like
but this is Facts of Life and Love for teenagers, and it was published in where is it? It was published in 1950.
Is there any?
And it's hilarious. Like,
is there any funny excerpts? Do you have anything highlighted?
I didn't prepare enough like that, but like in the front of the book, this is a quote from a Bible teacher promoting how good this book is. A frank, wise, and thoroughly clean discussion of the problems of sex living that are faced by teenagers. This is a good book for adolescents and for their parents. It may shock some of you, but it is likely to help teenagers. But like, it is really, I know there's
Chapter 1, ass to mouth.
I don't think anal sex is in here.
Probably not.
There is
probably not.
What makes boys men?
Yeah, what does make boys men, Kathleen?
I'll look it up. Hold on. Page 27. It's early in the book that it tells us what makes boys men. Where is it? I should have prepared.
Is it
when boys are what makes boys men? At the moment in which you are conceived, a full 9 months before you were born, you started down the path to manhood.
Oh, that's why you can't kill him. I didn't know that.
That you have followed ever since. Your father's sperm cast the deciding vote.
Oh, like nobody.
Made you a boy.
That's the thing. Nobody ever got past that. Whenever somebody was like talking about how you were born, as soon as the start of the story is your father's sperm, and the rest of it you're tuned out.
So your dad's cock, and you're like,
what? God. So your dad has the ability to get rock hard, and then
way back then began the development of the special organs of reproduction.
So your dad, he can get erections and he can ejaculate with that erection, and he did so inside your mother, and now you're here. What the fuck?
I want to see what it says about like.
I was ready for anything but that. Think about before you knew where babies came from, like just, you were like, I don't know. I don't know what it is from. Huh.
Somehow it gets inside my mom.
I know that no adults want to tell me, so it must be a strange story involving bears, or must be something about nature that's maybe we have to kill a goat. You would never think like, yeah, no, there's see that penis that you always wondered what like, how come I don't pick things up with this? How come I got this thing outside of me that doesn't seem to be doing a whole hell of a lot?
Can't breathe.
Maybe it's got something to do with me being here. So what else?
I wanted to see if it said like why women when girls become women, but it doesn't. It doesn't tell us when we become women.
Men.
Well, you're still a girl.
We're not good enough to become men, but it does like I think it does talk about. I should go. What I'll do is I will actually read this whole book. I've only ever read like little bits of it, and I will do my best to mark the best lines because I know there's a really good one about masturbating in here because I did read it.
Girls can't do it. Not only shouldn't they, but they just can't.
And then I have that other one that's called The Sensuous Woman, and it talks about women masturbating.
Well, yeah, pick out some passages because I had two ideas for some because that would be good for you to read us something for teenagers because we don't do a lot for our teen audience.
Yeah, we need more teens.
And also, well, so the two ideas that I had were either like you giving relationship, like going through old women seeking relationship advice in the 60s.
Yeah.
In the 50s and like ask those questions as a woman in 2020. Or I also had an idea for something called Keep It Corner, where a pregnant woman explains herself to you and then you tell her whether she should abort or keep the baby. And that would be called Keep It Corner. And
Keep It Corner.
It would just be like a 6-minute little thing where a girl says, "Hey, I just found out I'm pregnant," and then tells her life story and where she's at and where she sees her future, and then she asks you whether or not you should keep it. She should keep it, and then you say yes or no. So if there's any women out there who just found out they're pregnant and
please get in touch with us
and want a consultation.
Please email us at deadbabybear@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'll be the Planned Parenthood that you really need. Kathleen will let you know what's up because you're fair. You're not going to tell everybody to abort. There'll be some.
I'll tell most to abort.
Not all, though.
Not all. Some people should have children, but a lot shouldn't.
No, and most of them already did.
Oh, there's a whole section on homosexuality.
Is it bad or good?
I don't know. I'm going to read this. I've not read this before, so if it says something horrible, it's not coming from me. It's coming from this book.
Okay, well, we've talked long enough anyway, so I got this one's
called... Oh, yeah, you scratch the thing, and I'll read about homosexuality.
Ooh, yeah, you read about homosexuality. Lucky Lines is a $7 ticket.
Yes. Possibly no word in the English language is as misunderstood as homosexuality. In our society, we are so afraid of it and we know so little about it that we are apt to become anxious whenever we hear a whisper of homosexual behavior. When you stop and think of what homosexuality means and how frequent it is, some of the fear drains off and you want to understand what it's all about. In its simplest definition, homosexuality is the response of two people of the same sex being with each other. Overt homosexuality involves active sexual contact with a member of the same sex. That's the same thing. Latent homosexuality refers to a strong preference for members of the same sex, not directly expressed in physical contact. This is kind of boring. I'm going to have to, there's a lot. I'm going to have to go through here. Oh, and here's the masturbation stuff. People used to feel that the handling of one's genitals was a very serious affair.
It still is.
It still is. Oh my God.
Don't punch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do is I'm going to find my favorite excerpts from here.
We lost, by the way.
We lost?
We lost?
You're wondering if life was going to get any better tonight. It isn't.
Damn.
I bought one of those big spin tickets for myself, and I got a spin. So you have to take it to the store, and then like they scan it, and then this thing goes on the screen. It's like, ooh, spin, and it goes do 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 do, and like I knew it was only $10, but it like gets so close to the big spin and so close to $20,000. It's even more disappointing when someone else is watching you lose. It's even more disappointing.
Yeah, or if somebody like, I think the most disappointing thing, the only time I've ever invested anything is when like other people that I knew were doing it, and I was like, well, now I have to. Like now there's no way that I could. If 6 of your best friends invested in something and then they all became rich and you stayed poor,
oh, you'd feel like an idiot.
Your life would suck. Your life would suck because all of a sudden all of your close friends are like, you're like, hey, do you want to go golfing at the cheaper course? And they're like, we're already members at the fucking P Club. You can come to Blackhawk. I have another guest pass. And you're like, oh my God, now I'm a leech for the rest of my fucking life. And I could have been rich.
Yeah, that's why work lottery pools are always so successful, because nobody wants to be the one that has to come into work and see that all of their coworkers are now millionaires.
Nightmare. That's hell. That's the definition of hell, is like working with people that are like, I don't know if I'm gonna stay. I might stay. Like it's kind of funny, you know, like all of a sudden I don't know, I might stick around because it's kind of funny to be here. You're like, oh, it's fucking funny to be here. Hey, it's a barrel of laughs, you bitch. I don't have any goddamn money. You know, like, I don't know, I have 8.9 million, and it's just like, I might stick around because it's fun.
That's what we're gonna do when we finally win. When we finally hit it big, we're just gonna stick around because it's kind of fun.
Yeah, we'll keep doing the podcast, but everything else will stop. Like, I won't even drive in the rain anymore. I'll be it's raining, fuck it. Nothing. I won't do anything anymore. I won't even talk to my kids anymore. As soon as I find out I'm rich, I'm like, I don't owe anybody nothing. Here, money.
You're leaving your family? You're not going to give them money? You're just going to take off?
No, I'll just, every time they want to speak, I'll go like, I'll do this, and then I'll give them $50, and then I'll walk away. Like, you don't understand. I'm currently rich. I don't need to speak to fucking anybody. Shh, here's $100. Fucking fly away. Leave me alone. You know, that's what I do.
I really want to feel what it's like to be rich.
It's never going to happen. You're going to die alone and broke.
I mean, that's probably right.
But I would rather die rich and alone. That's really broke and with somebody. Been there.
No. As much as everybody says money can't buy you happiness, I'm pretty sure it can. I'm pretty sure it can.
Yeah, it really fights off the lone. It's hard to be rich and lonely. People just are like, hey, what are you doing Tuesday?
I finished watching the OJ thingy.
It's good, right?
It is really good. And I do, like, that just made me think of the ending when he's, like, having these parties and none of his friends will come and he's all alone. Because they're all like, oh, you killed your wife and got away with it. We're not supporting you anymore.
But you guys were there. The glove didn't fit.
Yeah.
That
was crazy.
That glove.
And then I started watching the actual trial.
I watched all of that on CNN when I was in kindergarten. I watched all of it every fucking day. I watched the whole thing. Yeah, it was amazing. Marsha Clark, just like, they're like, nice haircut, bitch. Like, you know, like, they're just like, you know, she's just a target. It's pretty fun.
Oh, it was horrible what they did to her. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Like,
good podcast. Good podcast.
Yeah, that was a real good time. We had a great time.
Holy.
That's what we need. We just need Eugene to go down and
whoa,
take care of Trump.